18 for 19 the last 10 contests as Malonga checks out of the game. Carleton is going to come in for Alana Smith. So again, a smaller lineup on the floor, and Dejanay Carrington staying on the floor in critical minutes. 4:22 to go. It is Carrington, Williams, Carleton, McBride, and Shepard. Carrington, 8 points, 3 of 5 shooting, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals in her Minnesota Lynx debut. Minnesota on the offensive end. 2 free throws were tied up at 70. Courtney Williams, the mid-range doesn't go. Offensive rebound. Carleton gets her defender in the air and nets a triple. Bridget Carleton bringing her confidence to the fourth quarter. Her 4th 3 today, and she has 12 points. Looking for the lob inside on the Seattle side. And it's going to be a 3-second violation intended for Ezzy McBagor, who apparently was camped out under the rim. Now 14 turnovers for the Seattle Storm. Minnesota leads 73-70. Bridget Carleton had 3 threes in the third quarter to ignite Minnesota from their largest deficit of the game, 8 points, and she is bringing it again. Williams get it over to McBride, and she's going to turn it over. It was just outside of the reach of McBride. A miscue there. And for Williams, her 5th turnover today. She does have 15 points, 3 assists, 5 rebounds on 6 for 17 shooting. Minnesota leading by 3, 73-70. Diggins uses a high screen from McBagor, being guarded by Carrington, and Diggins launches a 3. That is no good. Williams throws it up ahead to Carrington, who gets the step and lays it in on the run for 2. Dejanay Carrington making her presence known. 10 points in her Minnesota Lynx debut. 9 of those coming in this second half. She was feeling things out in that first half, and now she said, no, I'm bringing my game here to the second. Gabby Williams, no good from 3. Flying for that rebound is Carrington, looking in control. She's sprinting the floor, runs through the paint. Williams will hit the trailer and Shepard. Shepard keeping her eyes open, driving, getting the step, and getting to the cup. Jessica Shepard, that's who she is in 2025, putting it on the deck in a blow-by. 77-70, and Minnesota has its largest lead of the game with 2:30 to go. Gabby Williams will retreat, pick up her dribble, and she's going to turn it over, poked away, and Minnesota comes up with the basketball. Sloppy play by the Seattle Storm as Minnesota is putting its imprint late. Williams near the logo, taking time off the clock, being shadowed by Diggins. She gets free from the elbow. Looks like she missed everything, but it's going to stay Minnesota basketball, or was she fouled? We'll sort that out when we get back, but Minnesota in control right now on the road without the leading scorer in the WNBA, the leading MVP candidate in Nafisa Collier. They're up by 7, 77-70 as we step aside here. 2:11 to go here in Seattle. You're listening to Minnesota Lynx basketball.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
He was the billionaire financier and close confidant of presidents, prime ministers, movie stars, and British royalty.
Some breaking news right now. Disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein has taken his own life.
New York City's medical examiner ruled Jeffrey Epstein's death was a suicide.
Was it suicide or was it murder? Epstein, Devil in the Darkness, will uncover the truth about Epstein's sordid life and mysterious death. Over the course of 12 shocking episodes, members of Epstein's inner circle spill their secrets in world-exclusive interviews for the very first time. Listen as Epstein's personal chauffeur reveals what happened behind the doors of his mansions. And in another world-exclusive interview, Epstein's fellow inmate recounts a play-by-play of his final days and what really happened.
I heard his head hit the floor with a thud.
Combining the very best investigative reporting with explosive new interviews and expert insights, Epstein, Devil in the Darkness, will send shockwaves through the highest levels of the establishment and expose all of Epstein's cohorts, the men who thought they'd get away with it.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
love it. They're my dog. You know, you have your homies, but it's like you have your people that's really your people outside of basketball, and that's really my dog. So to have her here, I mean, I think she definitely going to give us, like, more of an edge, especially defensively, because we all in the league know what she does on the defensive end.
That's Courtney Williams talking about her new teammate and close friend in Dejanay Carrington, who has been absolutely outstanding in her Minnesota Lynx debut. She is plus 12 in the game. She has 10 points, 9 of those coming in this second half. In fact, she has scored half of Minnesota's points, 7 of their 14 points here in the fourth quarter on 4 of 6 shooting, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and just playing within herself. She is playing critical fourth quarter minutes where Minnesota is shorthanded without the leading MVP candidate in Napheesa Collier. She joins a couple former teammates, played 3 years at Stanford with Alana Smith, and then, of course, in Connecticut with Natisha Heidemann and Courtney Williams. Here she takes it out along the baseline, finds McBride. They hit her back as the inbounder, and she finishes at the rim. You would not know that she has had a single practice and a single shoot-around because Dejanay Carrington is being herself tonight, and that's what Minnesota's needed. 3 on the way and good by Nneka Ogwumike. Minnesota just moments ago had a 9-point lead, building on their largest lead of this game here on the road. It is 79-73, a 2-possession game, 1:45 to go. No team has beaten Minnesota 2 times this season. Seattle Storm got them back in June. Dejanay Carrington slices her way through the paint, throws it up. She is fouled, and free throws coming up. A strong and confident take. And I think what has been one of the most impressive things about Carrington is in this game is, of course, the poise she is playing with. We know she is a winning player, how solid she is. But she just looks like herself. She's not trying to do too much. She's 4 of 5 from the floor in the fourth quarter. She hits that first free throw. She's got 13 points. Let's not forget, too, that in 6 of the last 7 games that she played for Dallas, she was coming off the bench for them. Numbers dipping. She looks completely reinvigorated to be here with the Minnesota Lynx, the top team in the WNBA. Misses that second free throw. Is a 7-point lead for the Lynx. Erica Wheeler trying to barrel her way inside is stopped by Alana Smith. Diggins left open for 3. No good that time. Flying for the rebound is Williams and Smith. Smith hits the deck and a foul is called. Alana Smith is like an outfielder who doesn't even look where the wall is while she is running full speed to chase down a fly ball. She will jump not even caring what bodies are around her, what elbows might be flying her way. And there's going to be free throws coming up here for Alana Smith. And credit to her for how she stayed steady in this game despite early foul trouble. She has 5 personal fouls, but 5 steals and 2 blocks. This is a WNBA first team all defense kind of season for Alana Smith. She does miss the front end of that first free throw. Minnesota clinging to an 80-73 lead. Top 2 defensive teams going at it here in Seattle. And Smith goes over to her. She has struggled at the free throw line this season, under 50% overall. Gabby Williams quickly into the front court. The trailer, Nneka Ogwumike, is going to drain a 3, and fans on their feet here at Climate Pledge Arena. It is a 4-point lead for the Minnesota Lynx with 1:09 on the clock. 80-76 is Minnesota's advantage right now. Trying to overcome the absence of Napheesa Collier, improve their record to 25-5, 10-4 on the road against the Seattle Storm team that has faltered very consistently offensively. They're 9th in offensive rating, 9th in points per game. They're 5th and 6th overall when it comes to overall field goal percentage and 3-point percentage, and trying to create enough of a cushion to come away with a victory here tonight. And boy, it would be well earned. We can't say enough about Dejanay Carrington's debut as a Minnesota Lynx. 13 points, 5 of 7 shooting, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block. She is +9 in this game. It's the second highest on this team behind Jessica Shepard, who has her 5th double-double this season, 2nd in a row, 13 and 13, and 4 assists as well. Alana Smith with 6 points, 5 steals, 2 blocks. Kayla McBride with 8 points. Courtney Williams, the leading scorer, with 15 points. Also 4 assists for her as both these teams re-enter the court after that timeout. 1:09 on the clock in Minnesota, trying to hold on here on the road. Kayla McBride, the far sideline inbounder, will get it into Bridget Carlton. She faces up near the opposite logo, hands it off to Williams. McBride has it now from the left wing, blanketed by Erica Wheeler. Williams with the basketball now, guarded by Dickens, uses a high screen from Smith to the other side of the floor, crosses her up, gets to the rim, and finishes. What a take by Courtney Williams when her team needs it. Erica Wheeler, though, with a rebuttal as she goes basically 94 feet. Ball in her hands to finish the other way. Minnesota leading by 4, still 82-78. 40 seconds to go. Williams has it near the logo, waiting for a high screen from Smith. They switch. Courtney Williams throws up a 3. It goes through. It hit the heel of the iron and somehow dropped in. Courtney Williams fired up, takes a big hug from Natisha Heidemann. 85-78 is Minnesota's lead. And despite Courtney Williams cold to start this game, that is never deterring her confidence. Not at all. And she will do what she just did because that confidence never wavers. She's got 20 points on 8 for 20 shooting. In the second half, Courtney is 6 for 11. How many times this season have we seen her shake off cold shooting performances to come out with a wrath in the second half and carry her team to a win? 20 points for Courtney Williams. It was not a pretty 3. It was too long. It just kind of came to a stop on the back iron and then fell in. But you take it. 32.5 seconds left. 85-78 is Minnesota's lead, and maybe that's the dagger. We'll see what Seattle comes up with here. Seattle 1-4 at home in this building the last 5 home games. Near sideline out of bounds for Gabby Williams and Seattle Storm. She'll look for Nneka Ogwumike, a long 3. She drains it. My goodness. The Seattle Storm not going away. It's yet again a 4-point lead for the Lynx. 30.4 seconds left. They barely took 2 seconds off the clock. That was exactly what the Storm needed to execute, and they did. A quick 3. And Nneka Ogwumike with 23 points, 4 of 6 from long range. Minnesota quickly gets it into Kayla McBride. That's also exactly what they needed to execute. And McBride will be going to the line to shoot 2. 94% from the charity stripe this season, leading the WNBA in that category. 85-81 is Minnesota's lead. 29.5 seconds left as McBride is good on the first. Enter today 59 for 63 on the season. She lives for these moments. McBride's second free throw is good. 29.5 seconds left. It is 87-81. Sprinting into the front court is Wheeler. She goes back the other direction. Diggins, one dribble, launches a 3. That is good. Wow. It is a 3-point game. Minnesota leading 87-84. But the Seattle Storm, who are an average to below average offense in the WNBA, seems like they are hitting everything in response. Wow. Just a 1-possession game. Shot clock is off. 21.1 seconds left. And Minnesota is going to depend not only on ball security right now. There's 17 turnovers in this game for the Minnesota Lynx, leading to 19 Seattle Storm points, but also it's going to be on the shoulders of Kayla McBride, especially at the free throw line in this game, which is what she wants. She's that kind of competitor, wants to have the ball in her hands in those moments. McBride with 10 points today. She's 5 of 5 shooting from the free throw line, 6 assists and 2 steals as well. But this very well could be coming down to her free throw shooting. But it's just been remarkable how the Seattle Storm have kept themselves in this game this late. Minnesota, just a couple minutes ago, led by 9 points. And, bringing up this recent history, Minnesota's loss to this team in this building on June 11th was one of just 2 times this season Minnesota has squandered a double-digit lead at some point in the game. Bridget Carlton, the dependable inbounder, gets it into McBride. She is finally fouled aggressively. 19.3 seconds on the clock, so about 2 seconds comes off. 87-84 is Minnesota's lead as McBride fixes the bun. Very important before any free throw attempt. On the floor for the Minnesota Lynx, Carrington, Williams, McBride, Smith, and Carlton. McBride steps into the free throw line once more, 5 of 5 today. And McBride good on the first. One more coming up here. She calmly steps away and has one more coming up. McBride's second free throw is good. 89-84 is the Minnesota Lynx lead with 19.3 seconds left. The Seattle Storm are going to use a reset timeout, advancing the basketball without huddling up. The far sideline inbounder will be Erica Wheeler. We have seen the Seattle Storm come back in a flash with multiple threes in these closing minutes. But stolen, knocked away, almost stolen by Carrington. They move it deep into the corner for Wheeler. 8 seconds left. She's going to hoist the three. Unbelievable. She just hit another. They get the ball into McBride. She is fouled. It's a 2-point game. This stretch of play by the Seattle Storm just completely uncanny. 89-87. And that was a well-contested three. And Erica Wheeler is able to get it to fall. That is 5 straight buckets for the Seattle Storm. 4 of those from beyond the arc. 89-87 is Minnesota's lead with 5.5 seconds left as McBride steps to the free throw line. She drains the first for McBride. That is now 13 points, 7 of 7. Right, that 8 for 8 shooting from the free throw line. 90-87 is Minnesota's lead. The spin and the make. 9 for 9 is Kayla McBride. 5.5 seconds left. 91-87. The Seattle Storm up ahead, and Dejanay Carrington is going to deliver an intentional foul. Trying to make sure there's no miracle heave. Takes some time off. 3.8 seconds on the clock. Another inbound coming up from three-quarter court for Gabby Williams. They had that foul to give. And that's the last one. The lob over to Nneka Ogwumike, gets herself free, hits front iron, and Minnesota survives on the road with a victory over the Seattle Storm. 91-87 is the final. It was an uphill battle for much of this game for the Minnesota Lynx without Napheesa Collier and a brand new player in Dejanay Carrington, but they come out on top on the road, improved to 25-5 this season, 10-4 on the road. Before we step aside, let's allow our stations to identify themselves.
Interviews, guests, press conferences, and every game can be heard right here all season long. The Minnesota Timberwolves channel on the iHeartRadio app.
91-87 is the final here in Seattle. A gutsy win for the Minnesota Lynx. Not everything was flowing perfectly. Not everything was as pretty and aesthetically pleasing as we're used to seeing with this Lynx team playing without Napheesa Collier, but they got it done. Our post-game show is going to be coming up next year on the Lynx Radio Network. When we come back, we'll see if we can duck into any of these press conferences that are coming up here at Climate Pledge Arena. We'll break this all down. Minnesota with another road win, a very solid one as well. Shorthanded tonight here in Washington State. Plenty more to come here on the Minnesota Lynx Radio Network.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
Biscuits. Cheddar Bay Biscuits. A convenient and delicious luxury for many. But for LaToya, it might have been the bite between life and death. The last place she'd been seen was at a Red Lobster in Inglewood, California. She was officially announced as missing and had been since July 23rd.
I honestly feel like it's her boyfriend. He's a suspect.
Look, I mean, we were talking.
I decided to start my investigation Jehovah Witness style. Hi, have you seen... Have you seen this girl?
Nah, have you?
No. Okay. Seems as though these missing black girls are just forgotten. And it was starting to feel like I was hitting a wall. I'm Rose Cranberry. This is Looking for LaToya.
Listen and follow this podcast for free on the iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
Gabby Williams, no good from three. Flying for that rebound is Carrington, looking in control. She's sprinting the floor, runs through the paint. Williams will hit the trailer and Shepard. Shepard keeping her eyes open, driving, getting the step, and getting to the cup. Jessica Shepard, that's who she is in 2025, putting it on the deck in a blow-by. 77-70, and Minnesota has its largest lead of the game with 2:30 to go. That was tonight's Mayo Clinic moment of excellence. At Mayo Clinic, we're doing what's never been done. Sloan Martin back with you here from Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle, where the Minnesota Lynx just gutted out their 25th victory this season. 91-87 the final over the Seattle Storm. In the third matchup between these two teams in this season series, the Storm defeated the Lynx on this floor back on June 11th, 94-84. And they were able to get to the upper hand here this evening without Nafisa Collier, who is the leading MVP candidate, leading scorer in the WNBA as well, out for an indeterminate amount of time with a right ankle sprain and not with the team. But Minnesota was able to come out ahead tonight. As we look over how things happened in this one here for the Minnesota Lynx, it was back and forth throughout this entire game. In fact, there were a mind-boggling 12 lead changes and 14 ties over the entirety of this game. It was a fun back and forth battle between these two teams. Minnesota was back and forth when we look at this game and how things started, but the Seattle Storm were able to close the second quarter on a 12-4 run. There were 9 ties and 9 lead changes in that first half alone, but Minnesota trailed at the half 43-35, just kind of fizzled toward the end, even though Coach Reeve and this staff make such an emphasis on closing quarters as strong as possible, keeping their foot on the gas. In that first half, had 9 turnovers, led to 15 Seattle Storm points. They shot just 34%, and just felt watching this team in the first half, even though they've played without Nafisa Collier in a handful of games this season where she has missed time with both knee and back injuries and soreness that have been lingering for her over the course of the last couple of years. But still felt like this Lynx team was trying to feel things out. Things were choppy. We weren't seeing the wide open looks that we're used to seeing because of the gravity that Nafisa Collier carries when she's on the floor, how that opens things up for her teammates and really affects the way this team plays the game. I have to give credit, of course, to the Seattle Storm as well, who are one of the top defensive teams in the WNBA. 3rd in scoring defense. They're 2nd in defensive rating as well. So that certainly was being disruptive against this Minnesota Lynx team. They're also, let's see, top 2 when it comes to blocks along with the Minnesota Lynx. Both of them are top 3 in points off turnovers, top 4 both of these teams in steals per game as well. So both of these teams depend heavily on their defense. And Minnesota wasn't quite able to shake off a lack of flow in that first half. They were outscored in that second quarter 24-15, had 6 turnovers in that frame alone, shot just 4 for 16 from the floor in the second quarter. But the third quarter started with a flourish, and especially giving credit to Bridget Carleton, who right out of the gate knocked down 3 threes in that third quarter. Minnesota started that third frame shooting 8 of 10 from the floor. They had just 3 turnovers. Courtney Williams had 7 points in that third quarter. Bridget Carleton, with her 3-point shooting, had 9 points, just calmly knocking them down. And those were the wide open looks that we saw with Bridget Carleton that we are accustomed to seeing in this very unselfish, ball movement oriented offense of the Minnesota Lynx. They closed shooting 3 of 10, but it gave them at least enough of a comfortable cushion. The Seattle Storm were lights out there, on their own home court here, shooting 10 of 15 from 3-point range. Then we move to the fourth quarter, and the Minnesota Lynx were looking especially strong, and we went back and forth yet again. They shot 9 for 15 from the floor. Kayla McBride, 6 points in that fourth quarter. She was 0 for 1, but hit all of those at the free throw line. A lot of this game was on her shoulders, but it was DiJonai Carrington's game today. I think she was not the leading scorer in this contest for the Minnesota Lynx, but this was her debut. She finishes with 13 points, 5 for 7 shooting in 18 minutes, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals and a block as well. And she played within herself. Like, she just came in with a demeanor of, I'm going to help this team the best that I can. She had just 1 point at halftime. Still looked really solid in her first run, her first blow with this team, having only 1 practice and 1 shoot-around under her belt. Certainly has some familiarity. I think that breeds some comfort for her coming in, and she told me as much in our exclusive interview at halftime. We were able to speak a little bit early here in our trip to Seattle upon her arrival, where she said coming in and having former teammates in Connecticut with Courtney Williams and Atisha Heidemann, and then her Stanford teammate with Alana Smith. They competed 3 years together over in Palo Alto. So she has some familiar faces, people who can help her out, where she's already stepping into teams where she's friends with multiple new teammates. So she looks incredibly comfortable. She was herself to a T. And Coach Reeve clearly was showing a lot of trust in her, where she played all 10 minutes of that fourth quarter. She scored 10 points in that fourth frame on 4 of 5 shooting, flying around the floor, wreaking havoc with her defense. She is so long and so strong and plays with a kind of intensity that is nearly unmatched. That is the reason why when that trade was announced, you thought, okay, this is going to be a good fit, because this is a Minnesota Lynx team and franchise right now eyeing a WNBA championship and really having that chip on their shoulder from losing in the finals last year, where the culture, the system, offensively, what it demands of you and your unselfishness, and defensively too, what is being asked of your compete level night in and night out. Those things about this team are sacrosanct. And she came in playing like she's completely on board, and she gets it exactly how things are with this team. What a fantastic debut for DiJonai Carrington. It was fun to watch, and I think Lynx fans are going to really enjoy seeing her fire and how she competes and her ability to impact the game in a way that not a lot of players are. So she's going to fit in very well here. Even though the Seattle Storm were pretty the best way to put this, had an insane attempt at a comeback where they had 5 straight shots in the closing couple minutes of this game, including 4 of them from long range. They hit 9 threes overall. 4 of them came in about the last minute and a half of this contest. So a valiant effort to try and come back. But the Minnesota Lynx come out on top 91-87 here in Seattle. They improved to 25-5 this season, 10-4 on the road, and avenge an earlier loss back in mid-June against the same Seattle Storm team. I told you about Carrington's line. She was +9 for this game. That was second on the team to Jessica Shepard, who had her 2nd straight and 5th double-double of this season. She leads the WNBA in double-doubles off the bench. She was starting in this one, but 3 of her 5 have come off the bench, and she is someone who is absolutely in the conversation for 6th player of the year, as is her teammate Natisha Heidemann, who had 5 points on 2 of 4 shooting today. The leading scorer, Courtney Williams, 20 points, 8 of 20 shooting. She did have 5 turnovers, but 4 assists and 4 rebounds, and had what would have been the dagger in this game had this Seattle Storm not come back with a flourish of their own, where she hit back iron, it went through, and you could tell the confidence that she had after hitting that shot, where she was pretty cold to start this game, but stuck with it as really only she can with her unwavering confidence. Kayla McBride, 14 points, perfect 9 of 9 shooting from the free throw line. She uplifted this team late. To have a closer like Kayla McBride on your team, who is as close to automatic as it gets from the free throw line, is still critical for Minnesota in winning these close games. Bridget Carlton, 12 points, had 4 triples in this one, and it's about the highlights here for this Lynx team. Alana Smith with 6 points, also contributed 5 steals, 2 blocks, and 4 rebounds for this Lynx team that shoots 46% for this game, knocked down 9 threes. They're able to out-rebound the Seattle Storm 34-24, and that continues a really strong stretch here of late for the Minnesota Lynx, who most recently against Las Vegas had a 45-22 advantage on the boards against the Aces. That was their largest rebounding margin of the season. They have matched or exceeded their opponents on the boards in each of the last 4 contests, so make that 5 now over that stretch, not including this one, plus 51 in terms of rebounding margin. And that's another thing that Coach Reeve has been harping on with this team. She says, I know we're undersized, we're not going to be dominating teams on the glass, but it has to be better, is the way that she put it. So Minnesota really meeting that challenge, especially against the Seattle Storm team that has a ton of size and length, and Nneka Ogwumike, Ezi Magbegor, and Dominique Malonga. Looking quickly at the Seattle Storm box score, Malonga with 12 points, who I just mentioned, the 19-year-old, 6 of 8 shooting. The leading scorer is Nneka Ogwumike, who continues to play at age 35 at an all-WNBA kind of level. She has been on some kind of tear recently. Just 2 games ago in a double overtime game, had 37 points, a season high for her, had 16 against Indiana just a couple of games ago, as the Seattle Storm have now dropped a couple in a row. Also scoring in double figures, Erica Wheeler, 19 points on 50% shooting. Skylar Diggins, 11 points for her, 5 of 14 from the floor. Gabby Williams held to just 9 points. Ezi Magbegor, just 8 points. So Minnesota was able to really reel in a lot of these stars for the Seattle Storm defensively, without the reigning Defensive Player of the Year in Nafisa Collier, again out for an indefinite amount of time with a right ankle injury. The final here in Seattle, 91-87, as Minnesota improves to 25-5 this season, 10-4 on the road. A well-fought victory for the Minnesota Lynx, who were battling back and forth throughout this game, and were able to finally pull it out in those final minutes. It makes you think of what Coach Reeve says about the resilience of this team and about how they are just able to make it happen because of how much they care about winning. All right, when we come back, Alex and I are back to wrap things up when we return here on the Lynx Radio Network.
Hailstorm.